Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you once again for joining me as I turn this standard panel van into a badass adventure wagon. This week's episode is this little setup behind me. It is my water system. Yes, it's in a Mercedes Sprinter. It's relevant to any camper van, even barges, any kind of tiny home. Doesn't need to be a Sprinter. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of it, the materials that I've used, loads of tips and tricks. I'm a plumber by trade, so I kind of, sort of, tiny bit know what I'm talking about. Yeah, let's take it away. So here it is, guys. It is a 10-litre calorifier. That's the little blue thing. The little red thing on top is the expansion vessel. It's heated via a 240 volt heating element. It's 1 kilowatt. It actually runs at about 900 watts. I'll show you that shortly. And here's my little setup. It's going to make probably next to no sense just showing you the pictures like that, and that's why I'm going to reverse break this down and show you exactly how I got to here. Water inlet, that's going to be pressurized. So what I'm going to do is have a hose that goes to a fitting that we literally hose lock, plug in, fills up under pressure. This is my feed to the pump. Now this is facing up. I think this is to prevent any kind of airlock. So if this came straight out and then your pipe did dip a bit, you are going to be vulnerable to airlock. So this is constantly facing up so that it constantly sucks on water and not air. So inlet, outlet, and this is a bung here. I believe that is in case I ever wanted to fit a water heater to stop it freezing, like a little element. And then this is a breather. Now then, like I said, I didn't want to go too heavy into the water tank because it's not about the water tanks, but the guys over at Barrett's, they know what they're doing. I mean, the brackets are absolutely lovely. I bought water tanks for the black van, and you end up with like pieces of steel that are bare metal, and then you have to spray them. And mine are already rusting through, and you get these little hook eyes, same kind of thing, but they're rusting through. Absolutely horrible, cheap eBay rubbish. These are absolutely great. They're like galvanized. They got I mean, they've gone to the extent of putting like plastic caps on the end of them so that when you look under they actually look like a finished item. Absolutely great. I think that's really credit to them. They're obviously quite proud of what they're doing with the way they finish stuff. So I'm going to jump under there, get them fit, little bit of B-roll afterwards just to show where they are. Then we'll go from there, eh? I dropped the tanks now, and what I need to do is fit a water sender. I'm calling it a water sender because they call them fuel senders. Basically a water gauge. I used a CBE, I'm sure it's CBE, in the last van, and it was just, I may as well have just guessed what water was in there. It's absolutely awful. I'll be changing that at some point. I wanted to go for a bit extra on this one like I have with everything else. So basically I'm going to drill a hole in the top, sit that down, seal that up. It comes with a lovely rubber washer. Seal that up, and then basically as the water rises, this stays on the inside, as the water rises, the resistance, it sends a message, basically, layman's terms, down this wire to my water gauge, and then as the resistance increases, this increases. Lovely and accurate, lovely and reliable. Let's drop it in there. Now then, with my water sender, all I need to do is drill a hole big enough for that float to pass through. And then that'll pop through, and then I've got all of this flange here that will sit on the body of the tank. Now you get a rubber washer. Don't go crazy trying to seal this up with Sikaflexes and silicons and stuff like that, because just think about it logically. For this to leak, for that to leak, the water would have to be above 100% basically. It would already start coming out of the overflow hole, and to be honest, what's the problem if it does leak? It's not like it's something on the bottom of the tank where if it leaks you're going to end up with no water. It's not one of the connections. If that did leak when you were at 101% water somehow, if you managed to cram that much water in there, where's the harm? So don't go crazy trying to seal that up. Just get that nice and fixed securely is probably the more important thing.
So both tanks are mounted. I'll probably chop off the excess of these threaded bars once I'm reassured that we're definitely in the right place. And now literally, this is what I was talking about earlier. That is the water fill. I'm going to put a piece of pipe in between there and here, and then all we would do is reach under. We could pop that off if we wanted to, reach under, hose lock straight onto there, and that would fill my water system. And then to the rear of the van, closest to where the pump will be going, that one facing up, I'll take a pipe from there up into the van, directly into the pump.
Right, so I am using the John Guest 12mm red and blue pipework. It is expensive per fitting, it's a bit of a nightmare, but on this van, because there's no shower and it's mid wheelbase, there isn't loads of it, and I had loads left over. I've had to buy a couple of fittings and I'm pretty much all the way there. There is some controversy on YouTube about whether or not to use inserts, and some people say use it on the hot only. Personally, I've been an actual plumber for 20 years. It's got nothing to do with the hot or cold pipework at all. The reason we use these is in fact to ensure that the end of your pipe, once you've cut it, is perfectly round, if that makes sense. So what will happen is, no matter how sharp your cutters are, when you first cut it, it's shaped like that. Yeah. Now when you go to try and put that in a fitting, your fitting has got a perfectly round rubber seal in it. It's going to disform the fitting. It's not going to sit in there totally true. So what we do is we pop our fitting in, and that's why they're so stiff to put in, the inserts. I usually just use the back of my, like that. And now you know that that is 100% round and not disfigured, disformed. And when that goes into the fitting, it's going to be a true seal. So I know it's annoying, but please use one of these on every single joint. So it keeps raining on me, guys, so I'm having to keep bringing the unit in and out, so it's upsetting me a little bit. So I'm going for a bullfinch shower on the back here. I absolutely love these things. You just literally take a hot and cold to them. It's not thermostatic or anything like that. It's basically, once you insert the hose in there, you twist that and that blends it for you. Absolutely ideal. I'm dressing it up out of place because it's awkward. I'm using that plinth there to hide the pipes as I come along here and into my cylinder. So this is my little tip. Isolate everything, put isolators on everything. So if someone went away in this and the bullfinch shower was leaking, they could reach in, isolate the shower, but still use the rest of the van. But as an installation tip, what I would suggest is, if you are putting 2 isolators in, stagger them. So you see how where this one finishes, the next one starts. If I put them in line with each other, because they're so bulky, they would end up splitting apart like that. You see how close these pipes are together? Well, there's not room to put 2 of these side by side. So if you stagger them like that, and then when I continue with my pipe here, I'll put another set of clips just the other side. The pipework stays lovely and neat, it stays lovely and straight, and you can also ensure that you can still spin these without it fouling on the pipe. They're not in each other's way, if that makes sense. It's absolutely ideal. So yeah, stagger them. Do not put them side by side. Don't cut your pipes at the same place and then try to put 2 valves on. It won't work. Welcome to the classroom, guys. I wanted to break it down here on the whiteboard because it's not really reasonable for me to show you every single joint on the van. You would get lost. It would all get lost in translation. Your pipe runs would be different. It probably won't make much sense. If I break it down here on the whiteboard, it will make sense, and it's the simplest system you're ever going to think of. So let's go ahead. Let's start with 100 litres of cold water that's underslung, so that's under the van. That is filled up. I've got a valve there to shut that off. That is filled up via mains water, outside tap, that kind of thing. I haven't got the gravity fed like I have in the black van. You could simply just anywhere filling that up with 100 litres of water. Right then, from that tank,
we go straight up into the van and straight into the pump. First thing, no tee-offs, no nothing, straight to the pump. This pipe is that, it's almost like hose pipe. It's that double barriered blue flexi hose. Everything from there on is 12mm John Guest, basically speed fit, in the red and blue pipework. So straight off the pump, we then go to all and any cold water outlets. So for me, that's the kitchen sink and the Bullfinch shower. That's all I've got. Very, very simple. You also then take a cold water spur off and into the bottom, always the bottom of these cylinders. You go into the bottom because the hot water actually rises. And in here you've got what's called stratas. So the water is always going to be hottest at the top. So you need to push that hot water out of the top. Cold water pushes in the bottom. Hot water then comes out the top. Now what you usually do is you usually tend to follow the cold pipe work back, just because you're going to use the same pipe runs really, and it looks a bit neater. And then that's going to go to the other side of what is the kitchen sink and the shower valve. That is it. That is the system broken down. The only thing you need to be aware of is with a pressurized cylinder like this, the first thing that comes off of the hot water supply is a T-piece for your expansion tank. So your expansion tank is that little red vessel. It looks way more complicated than it actually is. All you do is just put it somewhere on the line. It's good practice to put it first. That allows for all of the expansion in that cylinder and the pipe work. So as the temperature increases of the water, so will the pressure, because the hot water actually expands. That's got a bladder inside it. Long story short, it allows for the expansion, basically, so this doesn't go bang, in layman's terms. And that is my system, absolutely finito, complete. The electric side of that, I've got a 12-volt feed that goes straight into my pump. That same 12-volt feed goes to my gauge. Yeah, so when I power up my water pump, I have actually got this on a separate switch also, so that I can power the pump without leaving the gauge on. That'd be in my electrical video, I'd imagine. So as soon as I power up the pump, I've got the possibility of powering up my gauge, and then that gauge has a wire that goes to my, what I'm going to call my water sender, that goes in the bottom of there. And that's as simple as that. As this water increases, the resistance goes down there, tells that gauge how much water is in there, but obviously it needs a 12-volt feed. That's got a badass element in there that's fed via 240 volts. I can plug that into my power bank if I wanted to, but preferably that's going to be for electric hookup. And that is it. It's as simple as that. You couldn't do a system simpler than that. Right, so my initial install is actually complete. Short of joining up my tap up top, because I keep removing my worktop to do some wiring on the inside of my kitchen unit, I've got 2 isolation valves just before it gets to the tap, which obviously means if there's ever a problem with the tap or you need to turn that off, that's good. Just like domestic setting, you'd always, if you can, you'd want isolation valves. So I've got isolation valves to that tap and isolation valves to the shower, and that's it basically. I've only got those two pairs of outlets. The water tank is full, 100 litres. I've just wired the pump up basically on a wandering fuse board, and I'm going to plug it in. Chances are there may be a forgotten something, but let's see, eh? Total transparency, guys. The first joint off of the pump is a female iron. It's not a female iron, but it is a female, half-inch female. Basically, it's just got a rubber washer on it, and it's a thread. So a female thread winds onto a male. I'd only done that hand tight. That was literally just sat in there, like just propped, basically. So At this point, I'm questioning, do I make a massive leaks thumbnail for my YouTube? But it's not like that, just a couple of drips. So I'm going to take it steady. What I will say is, what I'm going to do now is when I flick it back on, I'm going to connect my shower up. Usually you'd have like your tap open on your kitchen sink. That would allow air to pass through as water comes through the pipework. Otherwise, the pressure would just increase so much that you'll probably blow your pressure relief. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my little Bullfinch shower on the back, and every time that I power up the pump, I'm going to hold the trigger open so that that air can come out, and it'll allow this tank to fill up. Otherwise, that air has got nowhere to go. Hear that built up pressure? So like I say, when that pump's running, it's the actual air that's building up, so you need to release it. Oh, getting a bit of fluid. I'm going to dry everything with kitchen roll, make it bone dry, rub all the pipes. That's what I do when I'm doing my plumbing. Make sure everything is bone dry. Have a cup of coffee and come back. Scrap the going for a cup of coffee. What I might do is I'm going to wire the immersion up just on a plug, just a bit of a temporary thing. So I'm going to charge it right up, and then from cold I am going to heat my tank of water up, my 10-litre tank, and see how much of a dent it makes in a 250 amp hour battery bank. So the hot water actually comes out the top of the unit, which is this blending valve here, so it will share the cold and the hot, so it will come out at a set temperature which is adjustable here. We are 22 minutes in. That's hot. That's getting hot now, and every now and then I can hear the expansion in the pipework clicking and clunking, so I think we're getting somewhere close. That feels lovely and warm on the top now. While that water's heating up, I thought I'd give you guys another tip. I see a lot of plumbing installations on Instagram where people share their own installs, and that's absolutely great. I really encourage that. That's absolutely lovely. I'm not a professional van builder, by the way, but it just so happens that this is my day trade. So my piece of advice is don't overstretch the joint. So don't ask a 90-degree fitting to do too much. Now there is a bit of bend in the pipe, you see, so you can bend your pipe and you can mould it if you need to, you know, kind of change from going at exactly 90 degrees, that kind of thing. It may want to bend back. It's got a bit of a memory. It can try to be straight sometimes. But what I really mean is don't join two fittings together and do that to a joint. Don't force that joint. You won't be able to see it clear enough, but you can actually see the distance on this ring. It actually it's twisting the inside of the fitting. Now the best way to explain how that joint works is this is your pipe, and it goes through, excuse the innuendo, it goes through a round ring. If you're pulling so hard on that round ring, you end up, you're squeezing it lovely and tight on one side, but the gap at the other side is actually starting to open up, and it doesn't make a perfect seal. I see some installs and people are doing that with their pipe, and that's not going to help you out. That is problematic. That is failure waiting to happen. That will cause you problems. I'm not saying that you can't do that halfway down your pipe, but do not force that fitting to do any more than 90 degrees. It's got a bit of give, don't get me wrong, but it is a 90-degree fitting. It's not a 45, it's not a 75, it is 90 degrees. Try your hardest, and to be honest, my OCD, it looks so much better when it's nice and straight. So I had a visitor, so I actually missed how long it
literally took, but it's definitely under an hour. This could have switched off 20 minutes ago. We've been talking vans. But that wasn't the point. The point was how much power did it use, and it used 21%. 630 watt hours. It's left me with 80% battery bank, 21% to heat from cold. I think that's quite good. I think that's really good, actually. Really chuffed with that. Let's check the temperature out. That's too hot to shower. That is absolutely stoking. So that's 10 litres at 65 degrees. It will choke that down to the set temperatures between 38 and 42 degrees. Now this shower isn't thermostatic, it's literally just a bullfinch shower. But yeah, that 12 litres should probably stretch into that 10 litres should probably stretch into about 14. And I know from doing a test on my Truma boiler, I've actually done a water test, that can give you a very, very good shower. So really impressed with that. Yeah, so it cost me 20% of my battery bank, 1/5. I'm really, really happy with that. So just on our little water test, I turned round and obviously the immersion, the element is actually kicked back in. Naturally, because the temperature in the cylinder has come right down because I've used some of it. So that's why I'm making this a conscious decision to use it, because otherwise you could just do the washing up and you could end up draining your battery for hot water that you're not even going to use. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. Everything seems to be working absolutely fine. The pressure's fine. Yeah, there's a couple of things to do. All I now need to do, the only job left to do is actually the pressure and temperature relief valve. I need to drill a hole down through the floor, and that is basically, in layman's terms, a blow-off valve. So if this overpressured or got too hot, this valve would open, it would dump the water, and at the moment obviously it would dump it all in the van. That goes to ground and that's dumped. Yeah, really, really happy. Really, really chuffed. Works absolutely fine. First time, no problems, no teething problems. So this is how I've chosen to control my water setup, and that's basically via this AUXBEAM panel here. I don't like the idea of the water pump having constant power, just in case you run out of water during the night or you use the last bit, and then the pump is just constantly sucking, making that horrible noise. So I've quite cleverly marked that flood because there isn't a water pump sticker. So at the moment that's totally off, and that'll basically run until that drains down. It's in the off position. So if we want to use the water, we would literally turn that button on. You hear the pump kicking in. Absolutely fine. We've also got this water gauge here. I've put this water gauge on a separate switch. Couple of reasons. Main one being backlights like this when you're trying to get to sleep can actually be quite unbearable, and that's why I've even got the little USBs that you can actually turn off, because the little lights in the middle of the night, they drive me crazy, if I'm truthful. And this is a power draw. It's not much, but it is one. So if you just left this on all the time, there's a slight bit of power drawing. So basically, you physically say, I want to check my water supply. How much water have I got? You press the button, it's on, off. And that's as simple as that. You can isolate the water system just like that. One button and it's all dead. So as far as how do we physically heat the water, this plug here is part of the 240 volt electric hookup. So this becomes live when you're plugged into mains power, and this is what I always call like a wandering lead. That is the immersion. So the immersion is plugged straight into the electric hookup. Now, like I've said 100 times, I'm making it a conscious decision to choose to use your van's power to heat the hot water. So if you wanted to heat the hot water, you would unplug what is the kitchen plug. So that's an extension lead to the kitchen, and you would physically have to plug this in to the goal zero and turn the inverter on. If you watch those numbers jump up, there we go. That is a conscious decision to do that, and that is how I like it. So you're not heating hot water, chewing into your battery bank unnecessarily. Now my final tip as I wrap this video up is something you noticed when I was doing the hot water test, is that the immersion actually kicks back in. I didn't explain it correctly when I said that you're going to use water, you're going to use power unnecessarily. If you're heating 10 litres of hot water from scratch, from your power bank, for example, you're going to use X amount. You're going to use that 21%, so it seems, of the goal zero power supply. As soon as you start using that hot water, that immersion is actually going to kick back in. That heating element is going to kick back in. So if you're not careful, if you don't unplug or turn off that hot water element or turn off the inverter, before you know it, you've actually heated 20 litres of hot water. So it's just usability. Think to yourself, right, I've heated that hot water now, that's going to be hot, that's absolutely fine. Unplug it. Otherwise, the 10 litres that you wanted just to do the washing up, you've actually replenished that and you've heated 20 litres. So just a bit of food for thought. Thank you once again for joining me. Please do consider subscribing. There's a few more videos to come on this build yet, and then I'm playing with the black one again. Off to a few shows this year. Please come over and say hi. Thank you once again. See you next Tuesday.